Hello everyone, welcome to the Crypto Intel channel. Today, Hedera revealed all the details of its latest partnership with Asseto. Before we start the video, I'd like to ask you to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and click the bell icon so you can always stay up to date on what's happening in the market. It takes you literally a second, but for me it's motivation to improve the quality and level of the videos on the channel. We have a lot to discuss, so let's get started right away. Hashgraph today announced the general availability of Asseto, the modular tokenization platform built by IO builders on Hedera and HashSphere. Asseto consolidates issuance, lifecycle management, trading, and settlement into a single modular product. Until now, most institutions stitched these capabilities together across multiple vendors and internal builds. As a result, time to launch a tokenized product often stretched into quarters or years. The platform targets a precise buyer profile across regulated finance. Specifically, it serves banks, market infrastructure providers, asset servicers, fund operators, and issuers. Each can now stand up tokenized operations without choosing between speed and compliance. Moreover, the launch follows Hashgraph's strategic investment in IO builders earlier this year. That deal, announced at HederaCon in May, set the stage for today's general availability. Why a modular platform matters right now. Institutional tokenization keeps moving from concept to operational priority. However, the path from pilot to production remains expensive and fragmented. Most banks today must coordinate issuance vendors, custody providers, trading venues, and settlement layers separately. In contrast, Asseto packages these layers into one deployment that sits inside the institution's own environment. Importantly, IO Builders ships the platform with no external dependencies. That distinction matters for risk officers and compliance leads. Specifically, an institution retains full control over data, keys, and operational workflows. Additionally, configurable workflows connect directly to existing banking, custody, risk, settlement, and reporting systems. Therefore, integration teams avoid the rip-and-replace pattern that has slowed earlier projects. Meanwhile, business teams can launch new tokenized products through configuration rather than custom code. Inside the Asseto architecture, every Asseto deployment ships 3 integrated layers. First, a set of APIs exposes the platform to internal systems. Second, smart contracts handle on-chain logic for each asset class. Third, a visual backoffice gives operations teams lifecycle controls out of the box. As a result, an asset servicer can manage corporate actions, registers, and reporting through a unified interface. The platform covers a broad set of regulated instruments. For example, institutions can launch equities, bonds, money market funds, loans, and private equity funds. Notably, each asset type is enabled through configuration rather than custom engineering. Asseto also supports primary and secondary market activity, including configurable order books, RFQs, and bilateral trading. Furthermore, atomic delivery versus payment and delivery versus delivery settlement support, T+0 execution, automated reconciliation, and end-to-end auditability, public Hedera or private HashSphere by choice. The June 3rd launch puts Asseto on 2 distinct deployment models. On one side sits Hedera, the public network with aBFT consensus and council-led governance. On the other side sits HashSphere, the private, permissioned network Hashgraph released at HederaCon. Institutions can now pick the model that fits their regulatory posture and data sovereignty needs. Additionally, customers can run both in parallel for different products without changing platforms. HashSphere brings several capabilities tailored to regulated markets. For instance, the network supports zero-knowledge proofs for DVP and PVP transfers. It also offers customer-controlled validators, flexible governance, and mathematically guaranteed finality. Furthermore, HashSphere connects to other networks through CLPR, Hashgraph's bridgeless cross-ledger protocol. Notably, HashSphere was selected as the infrastructure provider for Australia's Project Acacia, the Reserve Bank of Australia's wholesale digital money pilot. A 6-year partnership reaches maturity. The Hashgraph and IO Builders relationship reaches back across multiple production deployments. Specifically, IO Builders has built on Hedera technology since 2020, working across stablecoins, securities, and lifecycle tools. Over time, the 2 firms shipped products including Stablecoin Studio and the Asset Tokenization Studio on Hedera. Additionally, IO Builders merged with Hedera in mid-2025, a deal that combined its tokenization stack with Hedera's institutional payments experience. Therefore, the combined company now ships across digital cash, tokenized securities, and wholesale settlement. Over the past 6 years, our collaboration with Hashgraph has evolved alongside the growing institutional demand for digital assets, said Carlos Matilla, CEO at IO Builders. Matilla previously led capital markets and DLT innovation at Santander Corporate and Investment Banking in London. Eric Pacini, CEO at Hashgraph, framed the launch as a way to compress the path to production. Tokenization is becoming an operational priority for financial institutions, but building solutions on top of underlying infrastructure remains complex and resource-intensive, Pacini said. Importantly, Pacini brings prior leadership from Deloitte's global blockchain practice, IBM Watson Health, and Citizens Reserve. A track record behind the launch Asseto does not arrive as a fresh experiment. Instead, the platform builds on technology that has already processed more than 6 billion euros in transactions across more than 60 delivered projects. As a result, institutions evaluating the platform get a production-tested foundation rather than a beta. Additionally, IOBuilders now staffs more than 80 professionals across technical, financial, and legal disciplines. That mix matters because regulated tokenization touches market structure, fund administration, and securities law at the same time. The broader market backdrop also favors a launch like this one. For context, Boston Consulting Group and ADDX Project tokenized illiquid assets to reach roughly $16 trillion by 2030. Meanwhile, Citi's Money Tokens and Games report frames a base case of $4 to $5 trillion in tokenized financial assets by the same year. As a result, banks face real pressure to operationalize tokenization rather than pilot it indefinitely. Therefore, packaged platforms that compress vendor sprawl will likely capture an outsized share of new mandates. Where Asseto fits in the competitive landscape, the institutional tokenization market now hosts several distinct approaches. For example, Securitize operates as a regulated broker-dealer and ATS focused on tokenized private market funds. Meanwhile, Tokeny advances the T-Rex protocol for compliant securities on EVM chains. Additionally, Fireblocks pairs MPC custody with tokenization tooling for banks and asset managers. Taurus serves European private banks with an integrated custody and issuance platform. Asseto differentiates on 3 points within that field. First, it offers public and private deployment options through Hedera and HashSphere. Second, it sits inside the institution's environment rather than relying on external SaaS dependencies. Third, it covers the full lifecycle from issuance through atomic settlement in one configurable product. Importantly, that bundle aligns with what most banks now want from a tokenization vendor. Your plans, hopes, and expectations are for it. The best and most engaging comment will be featured in the next video. Just a reminder, friends, informational and news videos are posted on the channel every day, so you won't get bored here. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you're always up to date on all the latest news. And if you liked this video, please support me with a like. Your like is my motivation. Thanks to everyone for watching and see you next time.